Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome to those of you seasoned veterans. And what we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do that as often as we can, usually several times per week. We do that so that you can have the best quality of life possible. There's a couple of ways to get in contact if you're looking for coaching around just having better relationships, developing better relationships in general. Would love to be of assistance to you in that way. A couple ways you can reach out through Twitter at PO Perception or in the About Me section of this YouTube page, and would love to be of assistance to you in that way if that would be beneficial for your benefit. Ultimately, there are many ways you can kill the progress of a crush, and some of these are behaviors that people don't realize they're doing. Others of them are just bad behaviors that we don't necessarily realize that we're engaging in because we have either emotional instability or insecurities or things that lead us to think negatively about ourselves, and that ultimately leads to kind of the stalling or the negative impact on a relationship. The first thing is overthinking the relationship. Look, if you're going to be with somebody for the next 50, 60, 70 years, or even the next just several years or several months, you have to be able to trust that things can unfold organically. And so when we overthink in relationships, there's ultimately challenges as it relates to, you know, how we make the decision to interact with others. And so the trust that something can happen on a regular basis and can continue to grow organically and naturally is something that nearly every person has to encounter if they want a relationship to last and be healthy and well. The next thing is not giving the other person space. Look, there's an age-old saying, "How can I miss you if you won't go away?" And that really applies to the development of new relationships. In order to have a balanced relationship, one has to put in quality time in a quantity way, and also be able to give the other person separation points to be able to say, hey, we can spend time apart so that we have stories to tell each other, so that we have value for the future relationship, so that we can get to a place, um, you know, in a way of connecting on a different connective and make decisions in how to get in a positive direction and making decisions in that manner. So the next thing there is not smothering the other person. So obviously when we meet somebody new, the oxytocin and other hormones that are released through the process of enjoying their company can and does and will make a positive impact on our life. And so obviously, it goes without saying for a lot of people that spending more time with that person becomes the natural proclivity of the relationship itself. The challenge with that is that it also can become smothering for the other person in a number of ways that isn't necessarily healthy or good or justifiable. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't find a proper balance and nurture the new relationship appropriately, but that requires communication and commitment to understanding where the other person's boundaries are and not expecting the other person to be a mind reader. So, one of the biggest misnomers in relationships in general is the idea that the other person thinks the way you do, believes the way you do, processes information or emotions the way you do. And so that assumption ultimately leads to a whole bunch of problems, not limited to the idea of connecting on a deeper level only when there's commonality. The problem with that becomes super challenging because when we have a lot of different things, and when we have a lot of different beliefs, just because we think a certain way doesn't mean the other person thinks a certain way. It also sets up a relationship of codependency when there is not differential notification of differences between people. In other words, if you're not secure with the other person having their own opinions, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, then eventually the only time you're going to be happy is when they're happy, and that leads to an unhealthy and often toxic relational connective. And so making sure that you have your own opinions, your own thoughts, and are not expecting the other person to think like you at all times is essential to having a healthy, balanced relationship. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.